Let's talk about all the very specific stats of Gale, because you can obviously just look at his base stats right here, but there's so much more nuance to his attack, and there's so many specific things that you need to know if you really want to play Gale correctly. So let's start with his main attack, and his damage is 504 per snowball that he hits at max level. Now on small targets, which is just the traditional brawler or box and showdown, you're going to be able to hit up to 3 snowballs, which is going to do up to 1,512 damage. And so if you're bursting with all 3 of your shots at a time, then on an enemy, if you get 2 to 3 snowballs per shot, that's going to give you 3,024 to 4,536 damage. So that low end is if you hit 2 snowballs every time, and 3,024 isn't enough to kill a lot of brawlers which have 3,360 health. It's a very common number, so you need at least 1 shot that hits 3 snowballs if you're planning to just use all your attacks to try to kill someone. So make sure you don't waste all of your ammo on a brawler like that until you know you've gotten that 3 snowball shot that you need to kill them. But then for stationary targets like boxes in showdown, you're guaranteed to get 3 snowballs if you just auto aim because it's perfectly centered on the box. Now for large targets, this is going to be stuff like the bot in Siege, the Ike turret in Siege, or the safe in Heist. You can actually hit up to 4 snowballs on them, but it's a lot harder. And if you just auto aim, you're going to get 3 snowballs off. And typically you're just going to get 3 snowballs off, but if you're going to burst and use 3 attacks with 3 to 4 snowballs per shot, that means your damage is going to range anywhere from 4,536 all the way up to 6,048, which honestly is worse than a lot of other brawlers when it comes to overall DPS in a mode like Heist or Siege, where DPS is very, very important. And make sure that you do manual aim if you are trying to get 4 snowballs, because since there's an odd number of snowballs, if you just auto aim it and hit the center, you're only going to get those 3 snowballs to hit, so you have to do it off center if you want to make sure you get 4 snowballs on a shot. Now for the actual dimensions of Gale's attack, the width of the overall attack is about 3.5 tiles, and then the full range of it is about 8 tiles. And now to determine an individual snowball's hitbox, it was kind of difficult, but this video right here I think pretty clearly explains it. You can see that the snowball is somewhat overlapping with the wall, but it still doesn't get broken. So that means there's a decent amount of space in between each of these snowballs, and I'm gonna estimate that each snowball is about half a tile wide, and the space in between those snowballs is about a quarter tile. So this is basically a diagram of his attack with all the dimensions I just said, and so now it's pretty clear to see that if you're aiming on a small target and you're trying to hit 3 snowballs, you need this 1 tile distance right here to fully hit the 1.5 tile target that you're aiming at. So that means you have about a quarter of a tile on each side to work with, and as long as you don't aim a quarter tile too much to the left or a quarter tile too much to the right, you're going to hit those 3 snowballs. So your margin of error is about a quarter tile. And now for large targets, you have to get this 1 3/4 tile distance to fully hit the 2.5 tile target that you're aiming at. So that means you have a total of 3/4 of a tile worth of room, which means you have about 3/8 tiles of room on each side. That is essentially your margin of error for hitting 4 snowballs on a large target. So it definitely has to be fairly precise, and it's going to be hard to do this against things that are moving, but just keep this in mind, and maybe you want to practice with it in the training cave so that way you can get better at doing it on things that are stationary, like the Ike turret or the safe in Heist. I also calculated his attack speed, and he's able to attack once every half a second, so it's fairly quick. And then in terms of his projectile speed, the snowballs are going to travel at full range of 8 tiles in exactly 3/4 of a second. So that means the snowballs are going to be traveling at 10 2/3 tiles per second. And then finally, the reload speed for his main attack is going to be 1.4 seconds. Now let's talk about the stats of his super. So you need 9 snowballs to charge the super, and if you actually hit any enemies with your super, that's going to charge your next super about 1/8 of the way. And the super, as you probably all know, just pushes back your opponents with a Gale wind, and this covers 10 tiles of range, and it does it in 2/3 of a second. So that means this wind is traveling at a speed of 15 tiles per second. So it's very, very fast, and it's a very, very good thing to have as a reaction. If someone decides to charge up on you, you can very quickly push them back with this super. But how much exactly does it push back a target? Since you can see it doesn't fully push it to that 10 tile range. So if you take a look at this clip, there are bots that are 1 tile, 3 tiles, 5 tiles, 7 tiles, and 9 tiles in front of me. And after I use my super, they're pushed to just above 7 tiles, 7.5, 8, 8.5, and 9 tiles respectively. You can see they're not evenly spaced anymore, which is a bit weird. Although this looks like a bit of an inconsistency, it happened consistently whenever I tried to do it with these bots. So what we can take from this is that between the bots that were 1, 5, and 9 tiles away from me, there were originally 4 tiles of distance between them. But after I blew them with the super, that distance was shrunk to just 1 tile. So that means if we were to graph all of these points, they actually form a line with slope 1/4, because the resulting distance after you blow a target is always going to be a quarter of the distance comparatively to another target of the original distance that they were apart from each other. So I actually did go ahead and graph this, and you'll notice there are those 3 points that are weirdly offset. Those are just the bots that were weirdly close together to the ones next to them for some reason. I don't really know, but I just ignored those in the equation. And then the line has a y-intercept at 6.75. So that means if there's something directly on top of you, it's going to be pushed 6 3/4 tiles away from you. And because the slope is 1/4, that means for every tile an opponent is away from you, it's going to be pushed 1/4 tile more. So if it's 1 tile away from you, that's 6 3/4 tiles, the y-intercept, plus 1/4 tile more, which adds up to 7, which is exactly what we got in the experiment. It's just that sometimes they'll be pushed slightly more than that, as you saw with the little inconsistencies. And I don't know if that slight difference will impact that much, but now you know about it. And then at max level, the damage of the super is going to do 140. Not much, but it is decent if you want to prevent your opponents from healing. And you also have a recoil whenever you use this super, and that's going to make you get pushed back just under 2 tiles for the duration of your super. And another interesting thing to note about this super is that it actually goes through walls, which is super useful because it also forces opponents to drop the ball in Brawl Balls. So that means you can use it as a last-ditch way to defend your goal, and you don't have to worry about walls getting in the way. But that's the last thing I have for this video, guys. I hope you really enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and a comment down below if you did. I hope you found this helpful, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to see more videos like this. But that's all for today, guys. So see you later.
Make the strings louder.